Okay, this is a video about biblical faith, and so let's just get started with what faith is not. The first thing is that faith is not understood by Christians and non-Christians alike. A lot of people think that faith is a blind, they'll put a modifier like blind faith or wishful thinking into it, but faith is not something you invoke when all reason is against you, as if you could well up spiritual hope through determined or sheer willpower. You would only be fooling yourself, and even then I don't think most people could fool themselves for very long in something that they make up. If religious faith were just wishful thinking, I think more people would choose something different than Christianity. It is just too contrary to our sinful nature, but it's just contrary to our desires. I mean, think about it. In order to be first, or in order to be great, you must be a servant of all. Was one of the teachings of Jesus. No sex before marriage. How many people would choose that? No lying, stealing, or coveting. In fact, the Bible says that if you lust, then that's adultery in your heart. If you hate in your heart, then that's the same as murder. C.S. Lewis said that if Christianity is only a mythology, then I find the mythology I believe is not the one that I like the best. Again, we'll define that word believe a little bit later. But what faith is a confidence. It is not a denying reality. It is discovering reality and then acting in trust on what you have learned or discovered. It is a confidence. Faith is a confidence which is based on knowledge that motivates us to act in a trusting way. Biblical faith is active trust. It is a trust that must be earned, just like we trust other people. But to put it another way, J.P. Moreland said, faith is a confidence or trust in what you have good reason to take as true or real. So again, we have confidence and trust, and we have good reason. So faith and trust is based on reasoning. And we'll get into a little bit about evidence. So just to kind of summarize those 2 points, faith is not a blind leap in the dark in spite of the evidence. Faith is an outworking of evidence. Sometimes this can cause an individual or group to be stubborn in the face of quote-unquote new evidence if it is contrary to overwhelming existing evidence. So now we get into the content of faith, which consists of 2 main parts, which one is the object of faith and one is the act of faith. We'll start with the object of faith. Faith on the part of the believer is not enough. David Clark writes, faith derives its value not from the intensity of the believer, but from the genuineness of the one he or she believes in. True faith is faith in the right object. Faith in an unfaithful person is worthless or worse. If I believe or put my faith in my 14-year-old daughter and the fact that she can bench press me, that wouldn't do me any good no matter how much I believed it. At about 190 pounds, my 14-year-old daughter is not going to even get close to being able to lift my weight. So fortunately, the God of the Bible, which is the object of Christian faith, is infinitely more reliable. And now compare that to an act of faith, which has 3 main phases: understanding, intellectual assent, and trust. First, one must understand the claim that is being made. A claim must be received, understood, and embraced. Faith has a clear and rational object. For example, a person must understand, and understanding, the first part of the act of faith, a person must understand the content of a statement, such as Jesus Christ lived 2,000 years ago and claimed he could forgive sins. So after we understand that statement, then we have to move on to intellectual assent. Intellectual assent involves the assurance or conviction that a proposition or a claim is true. So in other words, that there is reasonable evidence to back the original claim and therefore is more likely to be true than not, which gives us confidence. In addition, just kind of as a side note, We seldom have absolute certainty whether our faith is justified. When we have evidence to trust in something more than not, we settle for a reasonable confidence. This is where the ideas like, or phrases like beyond the shadow of doubt or beyond a reasonable doubt. Also, this leaves some room for questions that may not yet be answered. We don't always have all the answers to every question, but if we have 90% of the answers, then we can put a reasonable confidence or beyond the shadow of a doubt our faith in that object. A person must not only understand the claim that Jesus Christ lived 2,000 years ago and claimed he could forgive sins, but that person must also trust that the claim is true. So once there is an assent, intellectual assent, in order to have faith, one must trust in the object of the claim. For example, the person must come to a place where they say, I am trusting Jesus Christ to forgive my sins. The final step could also be referred to as an action. One could say that they believe in marriage, but they never exercise faith in marriage until they actually walk down the aisle. And that's just a real quick overview. So to conclude this video, let's just revisit that quote from J.P. Moreland. It says, faith is the confidence or trust in what you have good reason to take as true or real. Facts are the foundation, and faith is the response to those facts. Faith is an active trust in the truth. Faith is a confidence or trust, so there has to be truth there, in what you have good reason, you've used your brain, to take as true or real. Biblical faith is falling back into the arms of Jesus and trusting him to do what you cannot do for yourself, which is to specifically escape the wrath of God's justice. There'll be more on that in future videos. Feel free to email me or contact me through YouTube or any other means that will be listed here on the page, either in the comments or at the bottom of the screen here somewhere maybe. And also, if you have any questions or comments on the content of this video, then please feel free to contact me and we can discuss those. Thank you.